So, welcome to my track. Today, I'm going to talk about AGI. Like Randy said, I'm Clod Patry. I'm a software developer. I've started Asterisk in 2004. I contribute a few patches to the Asterisk project, a few modules, few core dump solving. I started the Asterisk Montreal user group. I did the CLI filtering at the Google Summer of Code back in 2009. I wrote dozens and dozens of AGI, and this is my 7th Astricon. The first one, my first Astricon was in 2005. So the agenda for today is what's an AGI, when to use them, how to use them, how to particularly debug them, and why to use AGI instead of writing a dial plan. First of all, I have to advertise. When my grandmother saw AGI, she thought it was a drug. So I have to advertise AGI is not a drug. But in fact, it is, because it's going to create a lot of dependency. You will never return to dial plan. So what is it exactly? AGI is like a CGI. It's just asterisk gateway interface. In fact, you have your AGI script. You simply send your AGI command to the asterisk core. Asterisk core do something with your command, like play a prompt or something, and it's going to return you a special code. With that result, you can do whatever you want inside your AGI. There are many types of AGI. First of all, I'd like to know how many of you already use and are really familiar with AGI? And who has no idea what's an AGI and never use it, and they want to use them? Okay. So there are mainly 3 types of AGI. You have the regular AGI. You have some called a dead AGI. Are you familiar with the H extension? When you hang up, it calls a special extension called extension H. So dead AGI, it's to execute a specific AGI when you hang up. And there is the E AGI, which is the enhanced AGI. I never use E AGI in my life. It's just offer you some more control on your audio. The first section, AGI, it's also forked in 3 other sections. You have the normal AGI, you have the FastAGI, and the Async AGI. I'm going to cover all those 3, but particularly the normal AGI because it's mainly used. There are many advantages to write an AGI instead of writing dial plan. The first one is you write your script in whatever programming language you want to. So let's say you got some web developer that does Python, and you want to create some IVR or some application. They can write it in Python, in PHP, even in Bash. I already saw some user, they were really familiar with Bash, so they wrote everything in Bash. One other reason why maybe you want to use AGI, it's, let's say you create a really complex application. If you're writing your own app _ foo, and you're doing some nasty thing like a null pointer difference, it's going to crash your old PBX. By AGI, only your AGI will crash. So let's say you have 300 channels on your asterisk, only 1 channel will be dead. It's much more easier to maintain because when you're coding your stuff, you know I guess you know how to program, and you will have to write function, write classes, write methods, and you will have the perfect control on all this. And maybe the last reason, it's the number of developers are much higher than the number of asterisk admin. I'm talking to a lot of friends which are developers. They know how to code, but they they never use asterisk. So when I saw them a dial plan, of course they understand it, but they are not able to write it. But if I'm saying use a specific API to control your AGI, they are ready, like after 15 minutes, to start writing AGI in their favorite languages. Of course, it requires some programming knowledge. I know some friends who knows the dial plan really well, but they are not programmer at all. So for them, it's really, really hard to create an AGI because they don't know any languages or syntax or logic behind it. Another disadvantage of using an AGI, it's when you're forking a new AGI, behind the hood, it's forking a new processes on Linux. So it requires some CPU cycles. So it's not that efficient like writing an application directly in the core of Asterisk. And of course, let's say you're writing an AGI in PHP, you have to interpret your PHP code. So that it takes few resources. We also have a special variable, a channel variable called AGI status. The AGI status is like the dial status. Let's say you're making a dial. After the dial, you're able to call a channel variable called dial status. So you can do whatever you want with that return. We have the same for AGI. There are 4 types of AGI status. Success, it means everything's perfect. It executes your AGI, so you're probably really happy. You have failure. When your AGI script are not executable, the interpreter won't be able to interpret your code, so you will get a AGI status failure and not found. Let's say your AGI was not Asterisk was not able to find your AGI, you will get not found. By the way, the default directory when you're doing a make install with Asterisk, it's under var lib asterisk AGI -bin. Everything is stored. All your AGI should be there by default. So I strongly recommend that you respect the default and not create your AGI in /home/potato/something. I sometimes see that, and I think it's nasty. And hang up. Let's say you're throwing your AGI, and the user hang up. You're gonna get the AGI status hang up. Maybe to do a small comparison for the beginners of AGI, I just wrote the main application. So playback, when you wanna stream a specific file in AGI, it's an API, so you have to respect a specific format. So you're gonna use a stream file AGI command. For the background, which is really similar to playback, you're gonna use the get data or get options. I'm gonna cover the difference between those two. And for record, you're gonna call AGI record file command. When you're calling from the dial plan your AGI, Asterisk gonna send a lot of arguments to your AGI script. So like the caller ID, the extension, the channel name, the languages, the account code. So you don't have to read inside your AGI. You don't have to call like a core channel to get all those. All you have to do, it's just at the beginning of your script, you will read all the argument passed from Asterisk to your AGI, and you store all this in like an array or a hash table or whatever data structure you want, so you will be able to use them. You must read those argument passed from asterisk. And it's possible also, are you familiar with the macro on Go sub? You can pass some extra argument to your specific macro. So we have the same. You can call your AGI and pass, let's say I want to pass, I don't know, water to my AGI. Inside my AGI, I'm going to simply use the argv and argc argument to inside my AGI script. Of course, at some point when you're going to create your AGI, you would want to debug because maybe your goal is to say 1, 2, 3, and you will not hear 1, 2, 3. So you can turn on all the debugging from the CLI. You call simply the CLI command AGI set debug on. That will turn on the debugging for all AGIs. And to start debugging, you're going to use the CLI command called AGI set debug off. Based to that, when you're doing AGI set debug on, you're going to see all the debugging for all the channel and for all AGI. So let's say you're having a 100 AGI on your system, and you're calling that function, you're going to see a lot of output. I had the discussion yesterday with a guy. Maybe I'm going to write a patch to debug per channel for all those stuff, because when you're having a high volume of AGI script at the same time, it's really hard to debug them. This is the first example. I did a AGI set debug on prior to that output. So now you see AGI RX. I've got an answer, and I'm transmitting a 200 result 0. How it works with the RX and TX, it's from the asterisk point of view. I'm asterisk. He's an AGI. He sent me a command. So for me, I'm receiving command. So RX is for asterisk. And when I'm transmitting back my result to his application, I'm transmitting. So maybe it's the RX TX is relative to where you are, but just remember it's from the asterisk point of view. The result, you have 4, currently we have 4 results. The 200, it's analogic to the 200 OK. It means your command was successfully received by me, and it was executed properly. 510, it's when I'm getting an invalid or unknown command. Let's say instead of stream file, you're calling stream exit, which is not a valid command. I'm going to get a 510 result. 511, it's when it's execute on the dead channel. Let's say I'm doing 5 stream file, and the user hang up at the end of the second one. For the 3 next, I'm going to receive 511 because the channel is dead. I've written a not dead AGI because, of course, if you're calling dead AGI, you want to execute specific code on your dead channel. And 520, it's when you're sending a valid command, actually a valid AGI command, and the syntax was not properly respected. So for the example 2, my AGI is sending a get data multi/A1110. It's only the name of my file. It's really it's exactly like in the dial plan. When you're calling a get data and a prompt, it's relative to the var lib asterisk sound / your language. So, which means the file A1110 reside in var lib asterisk sounds en for English multi/1110. The 3000 right after, it's the timeout in milliseconds. The 10 is the number of digits that you want to read up to. And the pound at the end, it's which the escape digit, so you can escape with the pound. Then when I'm doing the get data, you see I'm playing multi and my file. I said EN, but in fact it was FR for French. And then asterisk is transmitting a 200 result 2, which means the user press the DTM, he pressed the DTMF 2. Now I'm going to focus a little bit on PHP because I have a few examples based on PHP. Normally, at the beginning of a lot of script online, you're going to see an error reporting 0, which means no error. When you're going to call your PHP AGI script, no error at all from PHP will be reported to your standard output. The reason it's in production, a lot of time you don't want to see all those because you already test everything and you make sure everything works perfect. So it's a good way to do an EAL to report everything. So when you're gonna the PHP interpreter gonna fork your PHP/AGI script, you're gonna see all the deprecated PHP functions, the error of missing include file, the I don't know what else, but you're gonna see much more information. And sometimes when things are not working properly, it's a good thing to do. How many of you were in the manager presentation this morning? Okay, so you remember probably the manager is simply an interface to asterisk to send some events that happening on your asterisk system. So it's the same for AGI. There are two main AMI events. The AGI exec, this is when your AGI will be executed. And there's the Async AGI. This is when a specific AGI command will be sent through asterisk, but with async. I'm going to cover the async stuff later. One of really important thing that you have to remember, it's all AGI must be executable. So don't forget to do a SH mode to make your AGI executable. Otherwise, it will never work. A fun fact about CH mode. One day, a customer called me and he said, we have so much problem, nothing works with our AGI. We spend hours and hours of trying to debugging what's going on the script itself. And my first question was, is your script executable? And he said, damn, we spent hours to trying what's wrong on our script, but in fact, it was just a CH mode. The async AGI is just asynchronous, which means with regular AGI, you send a command, asterisk receive it, and it returns you a specific result. So it's really synchronous. With async, what it does is you call your script and you send your command, and all your AGI command will be just queued. And when it's time to deliver the specific AGI command, it will simply execute them. The beauty of async AGIs is if it has nothing to do, your channel will remain on. So let's say I'm doing a stream file. I know that the user won't listen. He will never hear anything, but at least the channel will remain on. So after, once again, if you want to do some stream file or record some file, that will be possible to do. Just a different way of writing AGI. You see, from the dial plan, you simply execute AGI, async, double dot, async. And after this, from the CLI, you can call AGI exec, your specific channel name, and the application and argument you want to do on the channel. For example, here, I've thrown my AGI async, and right after on the CLI, I did an AGI exec, my channel, console DSP, answer. So based on that, asterisk answer my channel, then I'm doing a C digits 1, 2, 3 on that channel. So all this was typed manually in the CLI. So that could be useful sometimes to do some dynamic stuff. If you want, it's possible to do. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of async. I prefer synchronous because it leaves me the perfect control on my system. Now, I'm sure the question you have is, which commands are possible to use inside AGI? The answer is, if you do an AGI show command on the CLI, you're gonna see all those commands. You see, actually, this is all documented on the wiki.asterisk.org, but you can have all the same AGI command that a regular application in your dial plan. There's a bunch of them, and it leaves you the perfect control on your system because it has so much flexibility. Now your question will be, yeah, but if I'd like to use a specific asterisk application, not list, when I did my AGI show command, don't panic. You can use the exec command. For example, there's no AGI command called queue, but there's an app queue available in the dial plan. So you can do an exec queue tech support, and it's gonna, under the hood, called the regular queue, which is the same than the queue application in the dial plan. So it's the same for dial. You can dial, for example, mark, and you can also use the exact same syntax that in dial plan. FastAGI. The FastAGI is execute an AGI script, but on a remote machine. For example, I'd like to use FastAGI test, but you remember at the beginning I said you're gonna fork a new process on your system. So if you're having a lot of call volume, a really high spike or something, you can throw some external processes on your machine with the IP address 192.168.100. It uses a TCP connection between those machines. But in fact, sometimes when you want to use a FastAGI, it may be because not all the time, but a lot of time, it's because you call so many AGI that it's taking all your CPU resources. What I mean by that, it's, let's say I'm receiving a call. I'd like to verify if the caller ID is allowed. The user gonna enter his PIN. You wanna check the PIN. You don't have to write like 2 AGI for those stuff. You can combine all those demands on simply one AGI. So you're gonna just wrote two functions. By function, I mean a function in your AGI script. Dead AGI, like I covered, it's when you hang up. This is really useful maybe to update some credit. Let's say the user enters his PIN, and at the end of the call, you want to bill them or to do some billing stuff. This is really useful. The get option and get data, they are really similar. It's just the get data, it's when you're going to enter any DTMF, it's up to a specific number that you specified, it will simply return to you. And the get option, it's you specify which DTMF are you expecting. So let's say I'm building an IVR, and I say the user should press 1, 2, or 3. If you press 7, the prompt menu is going to just continue because you didn't specify the DTMF, for example, 7. Similar to the dead AGI, there's a SIG up. A SIG up is just a signal sent from the kernel to your specific processes, which is an AGI script. So it's possible inside your AGI to trap that SIG up to do whatever you want. So each time a user gonna hang up and the channel gonna be dead, signal gonna be, the kernel gonna send a SIG up to Asterisk. Asterisk gonna send that same SIG up to your application. So you can do whatever you want. In PHP, the way it works, you're gonna just trap the SIG up signal, and you're gonna call a SIG handler. The SIG handler is simply a function that you're gonna do whatever you want to. For example, in my case, I'm gonna simply do, hey, I'm SIG handler, and SIG number is only the signal number. You can list them by typing kill -L on Linux. Here's some PHP example on how to use AGI. I'm receiving a user ID and a password, so I'm just playing a stream file. I did the wrapper, and I strongly recommend that you use wrapper. I'm not doing any print with my stream file, because if the API sometimes change, you're gonna just need to change the stream file. Then that prompt say your user ID is, I'm doing a cdigit with the argument 1, and I'm doing your pin is, and I'm doing the pin. When to use them? When your application is too large. If you're doing some billing or pseudo-random, pseudo-real-time application, let's say I've wrote some dating services IVR. So on each prompt, between each prompt, I have to call a function to verify, did I receive a new message? Did I have a chat request? That will be really a pain in the ass to write all this in dial plan. So by AGI, it's really, really easy. And when you have a lot of update or SQL select to do, it's much more faster and easier to do in AGI.
AGI is cool.
This is a sound by Mark that he recorded to say that the AGI are cool. Even my son thinks AGI are cool. And once again, I'm Clod. Do you have any question regarding anything related to AGI?
You'd mentioned a wrapper, I assume, for PHP. Is that just available on the wiki, or?
Actually, I've wrote my own. The question was, is there any PHP wrapper available online? I've wrote my own wrapper, but there's a lot of PHP wrapper available. The most used, I would say, it's called PHP AGI, and this is simply a wrapper written open source, and you can use. There's a bunch of available one. If you want, maybe I can give you a list offline.
What about for Java?
It's the same. And the most one that I've saw was a couple of years ago. It's simply called Java-AGI. I'm not sure it's this one.
In your search, you put PHP in Java instead of AGI in Java.
Huh? Oh, whoa.
PHP
Whoa.
Java instead of AGI in Java.
Yeah, but Java AGI is the mainly used AGI. You see, everything is almost the same. They simply wrap all the AGI command inside some stream file, and so hang up channel. So it's exactly the same. You have to wrap all your AGI command at some point because it's impossible to maintain. Any other questions? Well, thanks for coming, and if you have more questions, I'll be around for a couple of days, so don't be shy.